Hey guys, Ben Hart here, and I'm going to talk about finding the guitar that kind of fits your personality and your situation. So we all have the disease, if we're into guitar, of, loving guitars, but I want to talk about this one. I've had a few people ask about it, and they wanted, even some people said how to buy one and stuff like that, and there's no place you can buy this, I guess, but I built this out of hours of research, and I just kept on obsessing over what I would like, and it was as if I basically called the custom shop and they did whatever I wanted to from Fender. Besides I put this all together, and it just, I obsessed over every part of this, and it's surprising some of the stuff I found out that was cheap that I could do. And then the stuff that I really needed to spend the money on and really spend a lot of time on. I will say that. So maybe, so this is, I guess this would be considered a Partscaster, but it's, I feel like it could come out a lot better than most people's parts, because I just redid and obsessed and researched until it was just really perfect. So real quick, you'll see on here, this name right here, if you can make it out, is actually my son's name, Breitling, and it is spelled Breitling. And if you're into watches, that'll be a very familiar name to you. But it's not spelled like it's said. It's said like bright and then L-I-N-G, Breitling. But it's spelled Breitl. I think it's a German spelling or something. We thought it was a cool name. 3 years ago, I started building this guitar, and I thought, I'm gonna make, in honor of him, I'm gonna make this guitar that I've always wanted in a Telecaster form, and then I'm going to put his name on it. And that alone was something to watch out. So let's get into it and talk about, all the way down until the strap. I obsessed. And I think maybe you should too. And it may be one that you can buy, or it may be one you can have someone else put together, because there was some definite learning curves and stuff from just, slapping a bunch of things together. So let's talk about some things that I was surprised at that I bought that were cheap. The body. When you go to start building something, you think it's, like that. That's going to be the expensive part. It's so funny. It's one of the most cheapest parts that I bought. I decided I wasn't going to finish and paint the body because I wanted this color of green. This was surf green. I live in southern Florida. We love the hot weather and the beach. And so I wanted a surf green, kind of a tip to the hat of a 60s car type situation, of just that vibe. I wanted, and the whole thing is supposed to be like vintage but new kind of feeling. Modern vintage, but it's not a relic or anything. Anywhere that's been on it so far has been me, which isn't a lot yet. So this, believe it or not, is a guitar fetish body, and I have to say it is fantastic. I've been just shocked with it. It's light. I believe this one is poplar. I kind of wanted poplar because of how light it was, and as I was researching, I found out I felt like the body, although everything you change on here, there's going to be people saying their opinions in the comments that this don't matter. I think everything matters, but I think things matter bigger and in tonal value and playability less than others. And I felt like the body was one of, although I do think it makes a difference, was one of the less things. Although I have this theory that I wonder if it's correct. I'm not dying on it. Is it the wood that makes it different, or is it the weight of the wood that's making it different? So I'll let everybody, and then I know some of you saying the wood don't make a difference at all. Well, I think it does. I just think it's tiny. Okay. I think the finish on it makes a lot of difference. So this is probably poly finish. It's probably too thick, but that was my least amount of worry. I will say that. Right or wrong, that's where I'm at. And I love this thing, so I got what I wanted out of it. All right. Let's talk about what else was, one of the cheapest things on here is the pickups. Before you turn me off and say, oh man, you've really lost it. They were cheap because a buddy of mine started a Partscaster situation, and he didn't ever get around to using them. And they were something I researched out, and they're the Fender Pure 64. And I saw, I think it was Zach Childs, I like his channel, talking about different just like run-of-the-mill pickups that you could get, and he recommended these. And as I got and look into them, they're really just a crazy twangy thing. And I was like, this one, I have a Fender that has got like flat poled, and it's got a modern bridge on it, stuff, and it's a darker thing. I'm like, I want this one to just be the opposite and just be this twangy thing. So I was like, all right. So he one day needed a ride to the airport, and he's like, man, it's early and stuff. And I was like, I'll give you a ride to the airport. And he's like, I'm gonna give you these pickups if you want them, if you'll use them. And I was like, no, you don't have to do that. Let me just buy them from you or something. And he was like, no, I'm gonna give them. So thanks to Joe. Love you out there. So I got the pickups for free. I mean, I think they're like 170, 160. I don't really know. They were 150 years ago now. So they're the Pure 64, the vintage, just by Fender. And they're raised pulled. And yeah, so I got those for free. This body I paid like on sale, like 75 bucks. You could definitely get one for $100. It's shocking. And the finish on it, like, it's flawless. Like, I don't see any problems with it at all. I actually just bought another one, and then I'm building one for planes when I travel, and that'll be cool. It's a vintage, and I bought a neck from them. I'm gonna see how that is. All right, so cheap parts. The plate, that was cheap. That was whatever I could find. Didn't care about that. The barrels to hold the strings, cheap. Whatever I could find. That was great. The strap buttons, there might be cheaper versions of all this stuff out there. I don't know, but I just bought just it's what you expect on anything. I don't feel like they were flimsy or anything. The strap, I'm not gonna say that was cheap. I switched out, so I bought a finished cavity thing, and I'm gonna have to think about where I got that from. It came with the knobs and everything, and it was all pre-wired and stuff. I was up for the wiring, but it was a good deal on this. And a lot of these things, I bought a few things, but I almost got this thing for free. I'm just gonna be straight up honest with you. In the fact that I made like Amazon carts and Guitar Center and Musician's Friend list, and I just put them on my Christmas and birthday list, and slowly someone bought me the cavity for like $100, and someone bought me the bridge. Here's the all that. The tuners, I would say, are not the cheapest, but they aren't expensive at all. They would be considered cheap, but they're not, I don't feel like they're cheap quality. So they're locking tuners here. Let's see what you can see about this. Let me get it, keeping the line. Locking tuners, but they got the vintage knobs on them. I really feel like they're fantastic. And you will pay like $100 for super name. These are the Geiger versions of them. I can't recommend those enough. Those are fantastic. All right, so I didn't pay for any of that so far. I think I bought the pick guard and the body, and then stuff to, I didn't buy a whole lot of this. I just put it, no one wants to buy you a $3,000, $2,000 guitar, but they'll all buy you a bunch of parts. Something to think about. And you're picking out each part, but you gotta learn to put it together. There were some hurdles. So I think I bought the pick guard and the body. The bridge is compensated groove saddles in tune by Gotch. It says in tune on there, and I did get brass. I wanted brass because they're a little more assertive, and I knew this was going to be really twangy. So I didn't want to just go steel or something. And so that whole thing came together. Can't recommend it enough. Love it. Fantastic. vintage white on the pick guard. Now, the part of the thing that is really the guitar is the neck. And you will notice the biggest different thing that is maybe hard to get, and this is why I spent the most, the strap. Bluebird strap. I love these vintage situations. They were great. I think I made a whole video on vintage straps. I got a couple from Bluebird. I got one from Etsy. There was one from Epobi. Yeah. EPIBO, man, those are great. All those, so if you want those vintage strap things, buy something nice, really like it. I mean, you can get like cheap ones from like Dunlop and Ace for like $30, but these were like 65, 70, so expensive for a strap. That's something I actually bought. There we go. I paid this in the body here, the most thing I paid for. Okay, so let's talk about first the decal and the neck and everything. So that is where the whole thing was just, that's where you're going to be at. So I looked at a lot of Partscasters and a lot of different things, and I did a lot of research, and I really felt like outside of the pickups and stuff, the guitar on a Telecaster, on an electric guitar, is the neck. I really feel that. I really feel like, so I'm like, if I'm going to do anything. And my son, who I was going to put the name up here, so here's a few hurdles I got, but my son, Breitling, was born in April. So I thought it'd be really cool. The birthstone is a diamond. So I thought it'd be really cool, the markers to be diamond. Now, that is a little bit harder to find than you could think. So I did not feel like I could make my own neck and CNC machine out of diamonds and all this stuff. So I found some companies that could do it, and the one that came out the most and the safest, and if this is going to be the main thing, like spend your money on that, and I bought it from Warmouth. I called them and they walked me through every spec. I mean, made sure I got 9.5. They talked with me about that. I talked to them about what I want this to feel like and everything, and they recommended things, and we talked about the nut, and then we talked about putting the diamonds in there, which they had. And you can go on their site and just select all the stuff, but like I called and they were just fantastic to work with. I think this is quarter sawn maple. It's got the skunk stripe in the back, but like I didn't originally even ask for the quarter sawn. I just said, well, I'll go with the regular, because vintage, a lot of them, I don't think they were like that, but they sent me that anyway, so like I appreciate it. That's usually a $25 upcharge. I think that was the most expensive thing. My wife bought me that for like Christmas, I think, or my birthday. And I think by the time I got done adding everything that I wanted done, I had stainless steel frets. There was a whole lot of things that I went through, and just I made sure that was perfect, because that's just what I feel like. It wouldn't even bother me to change out a body. Now I'm not probably going to, but like the neck is the guitar. You know what I mean? That's kind of it. So I got that done, and I love the diamonds. Like I almost just want to order another neck, and I got it unfinished because I wanted a vintage tin on it. But I also, one thing that I noticed about cheap or Partscasters, a lot of people's first ones or small companies that make things like that, the logo, the decal and everything always just looks not quite there. It just isn't quite there. And let me show you this one, and then I'll talk to you about like how hard it is to, and what to understand. Let's see if you can see that. It came out, I don't know how well you can see that, right there. Let me see. I'm gonna do this. Put some light on that. Yeah, all right, okay, you see. So that, like, I'm proud of that, but I'm also frustrated on it. Okay, so I bought a decal off Etsy from a nice chap, I will say. And he did a really good job, but I saw these ones online or something. I can't remember how it all came about, but like it had after you put this, and they use something called water slide. So I researched that out. I bought a water slide, and then I tried them because they wrinkle up real easy. It's a real thin situation. It's not just like a sticker. When I tried it on another piece of wood, because you get like a sheet of them, it was a little see-through. It wasn't bad, but I was like, that's not like my fenders back there. So I did some more research and found out that there's actually some like metallic or some sort of metal or iron or something. I can't remember now, it's been a minute. That's the paint that they make that so it's not see-through. So I found another, and nothing bad about the first people, they were great. It's just what wasn't maybe what I was looking for, and they said what it was. Maybe found this on eBay. No, maybe another guy on Etsy. You just look for that metallic situation. It's like metal, or there's something else in it. I'm not sure. Lead. Maybe it's lead paint. I don't really know. Someone told me that stuff's like illegal, but they were doing it on Etsy, so it's got to be right. Let me put this light back. So I found that, and I had it, and then I cut it all the way around there. But one thing that I noticed is like you could see the imprint of the cut and stuff in a lot of them. And so I researched that out. And what's going on is they bury that in finish. So I wanted a nitro neck. So I bought cans from StewMac. I bought regular old clear. I bought 1 can of satin. That is something you spray on at the end to make it satin. I bought some wet sanding paper, and I was going to do the whole 9 yards. Not going to, I did. And I got this decal. I tried it out. It looked right once it was wet on like a piece of cardboard or another board or something like that. And this thing is just the whitest color, I mean, of maple before that. And it did come sanded. I can't say enough about like, are you paying a lot for Warmoth parts and necks? Yeah, but you don't ever have to wonder, I feel like. I mean, this is my only experience, but like it was perfect. You know, you're paying for ease of mind there. Like, could you get a neck like that for somewhere else cheaper? Maybe, but like I can just tell they go the extra mile, so I didn't have to worry about that, and that's really what was keeping this thing together, I feel like. So here we go. So I got that on there, and it's scary to put it on there and you get it in the wrong position or whatever. And then I went to my thought, I watched videos on it. My thought was I'm going to spray a bunch of clear, nitro clear on it, and then I'll do then I'll put the tint on it so it's sitting on the clear. I heard somebody say that. So I was like, that's not a bad idea. Sitting on and nitro like melts into each other, sitting on the clear. So if I had to redo it and sand it. So I put like 3 or 4 coats, really thin. And I'm in southern Florida, so it's difficult with all the humidity. I did it in January in just a situation. So I sprayed all that on there, and then I put the tint on there, and it was looking pretty good. And it was like I went like 2 or 3 layers deep, real light on until this looked how I wanted. And then when I got in there, when that last one dried, and I was like, this is the tint. This is what I want. It looks like this. I looked at the not dots but diamonds on here, and they were just like hazy looking, and it was just like brown looking, like what they call orange peel. It just didn't look right, and it wasn't something you could see far away, but I was like, I need this to be as good as anything. And let me tell you, I can't go through the whole process, but like I redid and tried and read and did other things, and what I really came down to was it could have been okay, but I didn't want okay. I didn't want that and that. I wanted it to be perfect. So I sanded it all down again, and I started and I sprayed on thin coats, and I wet sanded and I wet sanded, and I was careful, and I took time, and I did it and I did it and I did it, and eventually I got through that, and then I put on more clear coats and got the way and look right again. So I redid and figured that out. And wet sanding is no joke. And then when I got done, I did like 4 coats of clear. I got the tint on it, which there's nitro in that, so there's more coats going on there. And then I got several coats on there where I felt like it was right. And then I looked up here, and you could just ever so slightly see, even though I felt like there was enough on here. But like I actually had to put this on after the midway, because it needed to be after the tint, because I didn't want the tint on there, so I put it on after the tint, so it's midway. Actually, I might have said that wrong earlier. So I put that on there, and I put some other clear on there. And after I feel like this has got enough clear sitting on the tent, that was ever so slightly in the light. When you would tip it like this, you could see that. And I was like, that's not what I wanted again. Like, so I taped it off, and I sprayed the headstock and sprayed it with all the clear I had left in the cans. Not all of it, but like I was running out, so I was like, I can't just keep on spraying this. So I kept on until it was buried. And I wet sanded, and I wet sanded. And then when I couldn't see that anymore, I took that satin and I practiced on another board, because you're not technically supposed to be wet sanding whatever is in that. And I sprayed it on there, and both sides, I did a couple coats of that, and I let it dry and cross my fingers, and it came out like this. It's perfect now, and I love it. So there's little things like this I bought, and that is the neck. That was really the thing, man. And I feel like I got it as good as anything, and it's got this satin almost gloss look to it. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. You know, I switched out the top hat thing. That was something. I put the nuts on there. I got I mean, that's pretty much it. And then I went over to a friend who works on guitars, and he helped me put it all together and really helped me on the neck. Then I bought the tools to do my own fretting, so I was going to learn that. And he had some tools to do this, but like it came, really the neck popped into here, and that was so good from Warmouth. It was fantastic. So, you know, this is a labor of love, but also now it is by far, I mean, like I know my son's gonna grow up, he's getting into music, he really loves drums right now, and he's gonna see the name on this and be like, pretty sure that's my guitar. But that is the history of how this thing came to be. So like, it's a Warmouth neck, it's a Guitar Fetish body. That's crazy. This is like something I got off Amazon. It's vintage white, and you know, I learned a lot. Now I can file some of my own frets, but it's a twang machine. So yeah, so maybe, you know, if you're thinking about a Partscaster and stuff like that, you know, go all out and just keep on redoing and get into it's just right. I see so many of them where it's cool, but it's not just perfect, and they want something else. And I'm the exact opposite now. Now I can't, I would have never dreamed I'd want to pick up the one that I built over the other ones, but I just kept trying until it was right. So there is my Partscaster. It's a Breitling caster. People have asked about it, so now I can point them to this video. It's beautiful. I love it.